No, we love what you guys are doing. You're one of the companies that we see as starting to build your own ecosystem of technologies and connecting those dots. So you've made some great partnerships so far with companies like Think Surgical and things like that. How do you envision, what's your strategy? How are you guys looking at that product line?
So our strategy is actually pretty simple when you think about it. It's all in the execution. So we do want to work with companies that are our size that have similar visions. And we all agree that most of us are trying to take on the big four, the big five that are market leaders. And they seem to be gobbling up companies like Pac-Man, right? And we know that we can't compete against them if we keep doing it our own way. But however, if we form strategic partnerships with companies such as Think Surgical, companies such as Enhatch, which have some very proprietary and some very unique product offerings, it enables all of us to pool our resources and basically take the fight to them. And being open platforms, it allows us to provide more value-based initiatives to healthcare systems instead of saying we are locking you in and therefore these are the price points. So this allows the surgeons the best choice for their patients in terms of implants. It allows the hospital system flexibility with multiple vendors, if they will. So we believe this strategy is going to work itself out short-term and long-term.
Great. And your product line, how do you describe it? What does it span? What parts of the body?
So our product line for now, in the US is joints, which is for now to hips and knees. We're not in the shoulder market yet. Our tagline is need-based innovation from ASC to orthopedic oncology. We are the only company our size that actually has a fully fledged total system that can be done in 1.5 trays in an ASC, turnkey. We've had that for the last 6 years. We invested in a new orthopedic oncology system, again, the only company our size and then some. There's not been any new orthopedic oncology system on the market in the last 8 years in the US. We just launched one. And then we've got a couple of other new innovation product lines coming out, some of which you're a part of.
Fantastic. So when you're looking at the different areas of the ecosystem, when we look at preoperative planning, what is your thought around a pre-op plan? How important is that to the future that you're seeing, the vision you're building?
So I'm kind of old school. I totally believe as an engineer, pre-op planning is key, right? A surgeon has to do their pre-op planning or they have to rely on the rep to actually template and do their pre-op planning. And especially when you're talking about inventory management, every hospital wants to run lean because they don't have the ground space to hold multiple implants anymore. So this pre-op planning makes sure that you have the right inventory. It's kind of a just-in-time, if you will. You have all the inventory sitting either at the warehouse or the distributor or at the hospital, but bringing the right stuff into the OR really helps. Now, pre-op planning has taken many different roles. Some of it is plain X-ray templating. Some of it has gotten pretty fancy when you're talking about tumor resections like you and I were discussing earlier. Some of it has gotten fancier with software on CTs and MRI. But at the end of the day, it has to be value-based. It has to make sense for both the physician, for the hospital system, as well as for the patient, and ultimately for insurance, if you will.
Oh, absolutely. Have you guys ventured into the 3D printing world yet? Are you starting to look at those kind of technologies and you're looking at what's possible?
So the short answer is yes. So United's history is 25 years back, based out of Taiwan. We are a design and manufacturing powerhouse. We are truly one of the only vertically integrated companies, orthopedic companies in the world. What I mean by that is a lot of companies outsource parts of the manufacturing process. We don't. Raw material comes in and finished product goes out to be sterilized, which is something unique. And the funny part is it gives vertical integration a new meaning because raw material comes in on the first level, forging castings on the first level, machining on the second level, so on and so forth. So it's truly vertical integration. Now, with that being said, 3D printing is obviously something that's unique. It's taken a lot of the world by storm, if you will, and it's become more and more pervasive. But it's also about economies of scale. I think manufacturing out of Taiwan with the kind of quality and tolerances we have, we are not yet fully into 3D printing. There are certain skunkwork projects, we've spoken about some of them with you, that we are looking at 3D printing, but we are not tied into 3D printing as the only solution. It's a solution for where we need to be.
Fantastic. I think that's the right way to look at it. All the different ecosystem parts work together. So, we tend to focus a lot around personal medicine. We talk about 3D printing, but we can't 3D print a thread. We can't yet, right? We can't 3D print instruments to some level that can do the things you can normally do with a traditional instrument. broaches, for example, for hips. You still need to do it, 6-axis machines and titanium, stainless steel materials, really, really strong things. What are your thoughts around challenges for the ASCs on the amount of parts you bring into surgery? I know that you guys have some technology around like the all-in-one. How have you found that helpful to your business to be able to offer something that's easy and lightweight for an ASC?
So from our standpoint, an ASC business, the first part that they take a look at is their profitability, as they should, right? So they are looking at every little thing that comes in, from processing of trays to the amount, to the pricing in the system. So again, going back to value-based and need-based innovation, the fact that we can do a 1.5 tray system with our all-in-one block that allows you to size across 14 different sizes on the femur, allows you to make your traditional cuts. We've reduced essentially our instrument tray to 1.5 trays on that, along with the tibial tray and the patella tray. Now you take that into the implant design itself. Having asymmetric implants on the femoral side but symmetric on the tibia side, having a CR ultra congruent and a PS allows us to mix and match, so we give that physician, that ASC, exactly what they want. We are also one of the few companies that has an all poly tibia, so we can match different price points. So it goes back into this algorithm of your instruments is what the surgeon spends most time with. They probably spend 5 minutes with the implants, but most people are focused on the implants. We went around the whole instrument route, and we're constantly innovating our instrumentation to get better and sleeker and lighter, because the less processing costs that there are, the better off we are. We also pioneered what we call MDT, modular disposal trials, that are actually metal backed. A lot of companies out there have plastic disposable trials, but feedback was surgeons don't really like the feel. So we, again, using our own design powerhouse and manufacturing powerhouse, we make these modular disposable trials that enable a lot of waste. They get rid of all that waste that's happening. You open up exactly the size you want. That disposable trial can be turned into a CR or a PS. It can, on the insert side, go into an ultra congruent or PS or a CR, and it's all size specific. So that again helps you reduction of inventory, reduction of trays, processing costs, and that's done really, really well for us.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I think that's an important part of it, that I think you guys were ahead of the curve. I think a lot of people are now trying to catch up in that world. So kudos to you guys.
We'd like to think so, and I think part of it is where we come from. Coming out of Taiwan and coming out of the Asian market, where we have a leadership position, there's cost barriers and cost constraints out there. They cannot afford the price points that traditionally markets like US, Germany, or Australia have been able to afford. So keeping that mindset in mind, our entire systems have been designed for being a cost-conscious system. Now bringing that out here, we have solutions that everybody else is still working on or touting. I think our biggest challenges are brand name recognition.
And you're getting there, that's for sure. I think it's more and more obvious where you guys are headed. The partnership with Think Surgical, super exciting that you guys are working with them. I'd love to hear how that's been. I'd love to understand what your feedback is from the surgeons. Sure. On that.
So going back to Think Surgical was originally Robodoc, which was the first of its kind system, right? And we believed in what they were doing. Now, unfortunately for them, or luckily for them, how you want to take a look at, Mako came along and Stryker did a brilliant job with Mako. Kudos to them. And after that, Smith & Nephew, DePuy, everybody else followed suit with their own system. But again, we chose to partner with Think Surgical because it's a truly open platform system. There's 4 or 5 different companies on the platform. So walking into a hospital, our pitch along with them, and they've been true partners, such as you've been to us. Our pitch is not about, hey, tie us into them and that's it. It's more like, hey, you got 5 different surgeons out there. Surgeon A uses United, Surgeon B uses United, but C, D, and E use something else. That's fine. If they're on the Think platform, it's better for the hospital to basically get into the Think system, the robotic system. It's the only active platform on the market. Their T-planning software is phenomenal. I think that's the key to their whole success. And it allows the hospital system to go to different surgeons and still tell the surgeon to say, you're relevant, we're not forcing you to use what we are telling you to do. The surgeon gets to choose, I can use company A, B, or C as long as they're on the Think platform. So I truly believe that partnership is going to be out here to stay. They've been a great partner with us, they work with us, they understand it, and they've just had a leadership change that, again, understands this industry. So that things are only going to get better and better.
That's great to hear. I have a similar history with Robodoc, the company it started with. I worked with them over 20 years ago, at Stryker back when I started my career.
Small world.
And I remember when I saw it for the first time and thinking of the possibilities. It was before it was really actively used. There were some sites in Japan that I was a part of getting our products at Stryker implemented on. And it's great to see the technology now, 2 decades later, better, much smaller, much more intuitive, much faster. But I think you chose in a good direction, because I agree.
Thank you.
Not everyone can spend 1.7 billion on a robot. And the
they've
hospitals
already spent the money.
They have. And the hospitals really struggle. How are they going to afford $1 million for this robot and $1 million for that robot? And, it's just,
And then tied them into one implant system. Because I've yet to meet a hospital where everybody uses the same implant system, every surgeon. You're forcing somebody to do something different.
yeah, and I drive a Subaru now, right? For years I drove a Ford, right? I can make that shift every couple of years. It's not that easy to just make that shift out of nowhere.
I would completely agree with you.
Yeah. So I really appreciate your time today. This has been great. Anything else you'd like to chat about? Do you have any new product launches you want to?
So we actually have a couple of products in the pipeline. Like I mentioned earlier, we launched our U-Start to Oncology system, which has done really well for us. I think one of the crown jewels of that is our primary hinge, if you will. It's tongue-in-cheek, it's a bone-preserving hinge. We launched a conformity stem, which is based on the Korai, which is one of the most successful stems in the market. It's designed by Ed Su, Dr. Ed Su of HSS. We are obviously working with you on some very innovative products that we hope to bring out over the next 2 years. And I think our pipeline with you is going to be full. So from our side and your side, I think you can look at new products coming from United every year, and it's going to take Academy and ACUS every year. We'll have something new to show.
Can't wait to see it all. Awesome. It's great to be a part of it.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Peter.
Take care now.